Good morning, Southeast Texas, Southwestern Louisiana, and on the World Wide Web at King's Country, kingscountry.net. I'm Jim King. Come on in and enjoy the show. We're going to give you some audio previews of the Jim King of the TV show. Who's counting? But episode number 965 set to air several more times this weekend. It's already debuted on Strike TV. We'll play again on at 12:30 on the CW, Southeast Texas. It's all about Pat Boone and his lovely daughter, Lindy Boone. Like I said, little audio samples on the way. But right now, it's Keith Eben on this TGIF.
I'm gonna be here for you, baby. I gotta find her.
King's Country, kingscountry.net. Make of it what you will, but Billboard released their list of the best country love songs of all time for this Valentine's Day. Here are the top three. Number 3, I Swear, by John Michael Montgomery. Ring of Fire, by Johnny Cash. And numero uno, according to Billboard, for Valentine's Day, number 1 best country song of all time, country love song of all time, I Will Always Love You, by Dolly Parton. Here's a little mix of those three. And happy Valentine's Day.
I swear by the moon and the stars in the sky, I'll be there. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire.
King's Country, kingscountry.net. You just can't make this stuff up. I just found this story, came across the wire from Florida. A woman in Florida hit a tree. She hit a tree in a TJ Maxx parking lot on Christmas Eve. She was later arrested for hit and run. Here's the woman that hit the tree, Yaneli Guzman, talking about what happened.
I feel like something was making pressure in my car. So when I feel that, I back up. Instead of him doing my incident report, he took me to jail for that, for hitting and run. I would just cry because I'm a person that never got in trouble. I know that there's a lot of police officers that they're a wonderful person, but I'm scared. That's how I feel right now.
King's Country, kingscountry.net. I'm Jim King. Happy Valentine's to you and your sweetheart. I'm taking my sweetheart to her favorite restaurant here in Beaumont, Texas. Don't tell anybody, but we have reservations for Carrabba's Italian Grill tonight. I love it, too. It's pretty authentic when it comes to Italian cuisine. So happy Valentine's to you and your sweetheart. Don't forget to give her a kiss.
Where did you learn to kiss like that?
I used to sell kisses for the milk fund.
King's Country, kingscountry.net. We're cruising into the lunch hour. I'll be serving up some doozies like Sammy Kershaw, that Ragin' Cajun, late great Toby Keith, Her Majesty Lori Morgan in just a few moments. Straight ahead, though, it's a classic from Hank Thompson. I'm Jim King of the Road. Thanks for listening.
The King of Country.
Don't worry, folks. It's just the King Country.
Jim King.
King's Country at kingscountry.net. I'm Jim King. Thanks for listening. Here comes George Jones and Tammy Wynette. What a dynamic duo they were. Speaking of George Jones, I was in his old hometown last month in Vidor, Texas. I took a snapshot of a house that he lived at in the early 1960s. I think he might have even built it. It has a guitar-shaped pool in the backyard. Anyway, could use a fresh coat of paint, but it's still standing, and it's quite an icon. I took a picture of it. That picture actually went viral on Facebook. I had the most views of any post I've ever done, close to 1 million. It got over 900,000 and a couple thousand comments, hundreds of shares. Yep, nobody's forgotten George Jones around this place. In fact, I'm having a fabulous flashback, so we're going to go back to his hometown in Vidor for this. Could get bumpy. Hold on.
King of the road.
At the 2013 George Jones tribute in the Possum's old hometown of Vidor, Texas.
I see lots of
sad faces, oh, lots of bad cases of folks with their back to the wall.
In addition to the great live music performed by such professionals as Kevin Adams and BB and Company, the George Jones tribute at Benoit's Lewis Hall in Vidor included some very emotional speeches from Jones family members.
I think this is really a tribute to Vidor, to show up and show support and tribute our father. You know, coming from a small town and living here, and just to have all these folks, you know, love him and still listen to his music and support us, I'm just overwhelmed. I'm so thankful for everyone here. Thank you so much.
With George Jones's sons, Jeffrey and Brian. What was it like growing up in the George Jones household?
It was exciting.
It was wild.
Tumultuous sometimes.
Yeah.
A lot of good times, a lot of good memories.
Incredible talent he was, and I actually got to speak with him one time. I was working at a local radio station in Beaumont, and he called me up, and it was like one of the biggest thrills of my life. Hello.
Jim, this is George Jones. How are you?
Hey, George, how are you, man?
Well, we're doing pretty good for an old man.
This is your hometown you're calling. You know that? Well, you know that.
Yeah, boy, we're looking forward to it. We always are. And anytime we come anywhere close to Beaumont and Texas.
And now, back to irregular programming.
We're gonna hold on.
Streaming from the studio of King of the Road Productions in Beaumont, Texas, Jim King of the Radio behind the mic. You know, I put my cape on once in a while. I switch capes, and I become Jim King of the TV on the weekends especially. Yeah, because my program, the Jim King of the TV show, airs Thursday night, debuts on Thursday nights at Strike TV, and it ends up on Strike TV Monday. 6 times in between on Fox 4, the CW, and Strike TV. Always on YouTube. Don't miss this one. It's all about Pat Boone. It's part 2 of our little mini-series, our Pat Boone and Family mini-series. The family part is his lovely daughter, Lindy Boone. We'll wrap it up. Here's some audio samples from the show, some sound bites.
And by the way, we talk about your crown and King of the Road. I have a killer version of King of the Road, and while we don't have it on this album, we can't figure out other great country songs that we just had to pick and choose, because I've done so many of them over the years, over the 70 years of my recording, that we just chose what seemed that loomed off the pages at us along the way, because as we'll talk about, because I am a country guy. I grew up in the country, and we can talk about it.
Of course, I had to ask Pat about his days with Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. During the 50s, you had more #1 hits than Elvis himself.
Yes, 41 records. He had 40.
Yes.
But all, you know, got to be truthful about it. I did have a 6-month head start on him.
Uh-huh.
But he and I matched each other record for record on the charts throughout the 50s, and I had 41 chart records, and he had 40. After that, into the 60s, he took over. And I still kept on having some records, including chart records, but I had more than anybody in the 60s actual chart records, because after 3 years, Elvis went to the Army.
Yeah.
And wasn't recording at all. And then the Beatles, after 3 years, began to just put out albums and not singles, not to mess around with singles. So I still kept going. So a record I hold in the record business is 4.5 years without ever being off the single charts on Billboard and Cashbox. I was always on the chart with at least one record, usually one going up, one going down, for 4.5 years. And that's, I don't know if anybody's ever equaled that.
Elvis and I, as I say, we're buddies, fellow Tennesseans, same kind of background, and And he and I did seesaw up and down the charts. I'd have a number one record, and then next week it would be Elvis at number one, and I'd feverishly be trying to crowd him out with my next record.
Yeah, I hear you were big competitors with Elvis, but actually became good friends, and I think you maybe even went to Graceland a time or two.
I did, not while he was there. My trips to Graceland have been since he left the building.
Don't miss the Jim King of the TV show this weekend. It's about a living legend. It's focused on His Majesty Pat Boone, his lovely daughter Lindy Boone. Don't miss it. Several more opportunities. Thanks for streaming King's Country at kingscountry.net, and thanks for riding shotgun with me through the noon hour. We're dining and dancing pleasure. We've been serving up some delectable little tidbits. Got some more on the way. Oh, and happy Valentine's. Make sure you do something sweet for your Valentine. We've got big plans this evening. Actually going to Suzanne Simmons' favorite restaurant here in Southeast Texas, Carrabba's Italian Grill. I like it, too. I've been to Italy many times, and I would say they're pretty close to the real deal, if not close enough. So do something nice for your sweetheart. I know it's none of my business, but happy Valentine's Day.
I hate Valentine's Day. I know that's like a chick's holiday, but I hate that day. It's disappointing. It's a disappointing holiday, right? It never turns out the way you want. It's never romantic enough. Too much pressure on Valentine's Day to be the perfectly most romantic day ever. And the problem is that all the pressure's on the guys, and it's not your fault. Because it's all on you, and you have jobs, and you're busy. You can't do everything, you know, and you forget, and then you show up with something you bought at like a gas station or something. Or like from a guy selling fruit by the side of the road. Like that little bear that clips on your shirt. Says, I love you very much. Why don't you lay something away next year, man? Too much pressure on it to be the most sexy holiday ever. That's the biggest problem. It's got to be like a sexy day, you know? If you're in a couple and you don't have sex on Valentine's Day, you're like, oh my God, our relationship is messed up, you know? So you've got to have sex. It's got to be like a hot day, and all day you're running around threatening each other like, I am going to break your hip. But then you have like a big meal, you know, and you have the chocolate-covered strawberries, champagne. 2 hours later, you're like, oh, what was in that cheese? Good Lord. Oh, I don't know, honey. Something's definitely wrong.
King's Country, kingscountry.net. You can't turn on the TV. I knew this would happen once he got reelected without seeing his orange mug everywhere. In fact, I just glanced up, and there he was. Yep, Donald Trump. That's why I'm having a fabulous flashback at the mid-'90s when I went to Trump Tower way before he was president. Man, I was on to something, I think, then. King of the road, ruling Manhattan. We're at Trump Tower. Here's the security guard. Is Donald Trump in today, sir? Can I talk to him? What do you think? Will he talk to me? I'm the king of country. He's the king of dollars. He's the king of financial situation. What's your name?
That's a very difficult... I can't really speak about that.
Do you know Mr. Trump? Does he come in and out of here? See, I'm the king of country. There's my hat. There's my crown. Is the end.
A little country church on a two-lane road.
Thanks for riding shotgun through the 1 o'clock hour of the Jim King of the radio show. We've rounded third, headed for home. John Mellencamp recently said something that makes a lot of sense, and he has some high praise for Willie Nelson. Very high indeed. Here's a recommendation from John Mellencamp.
I'll say that Willie deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for Farm Aid. It's the longest-running charity of its kind in the world. Yes, there has been a lot of changes, a lot of reinventing what Farm Aid's about, but it all stems from Willie.
You found it, the most magnificent country music mix on the planet, 24/7 and 365. I guess I've done all the damage I can for this TGIF edition of the Jim King of the radio show. Hope you can catch the TV show this weekend. Still several more opportunities in Southeast Texas and in Livingston, Texas, where Strike TV is. Yeah, we're on there 3 times a week. 3 times in the Golden Triangle. Check local listings. Definitely every Saturday night following local news, 9:30-ish is that time due to Fox Sports. It's a good time slot, but it's a mixed bag. But overall, it's been a good platform for us since we've been on it. I don't know how long, 15 years maybe. Yeah, so keep it between the ditches. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you next week. Later, Gators.
Long live the king!